All right, now we revisit that story about students at one local trade school upset tonight after they say they're not getting the education for which they paid.
ABC 40's Chris Pisano spoke to a pair of electricians in training at Porter and Chester Institute who claim what they were promised and what they're receiving are two different things. Chris?
Yeah, Dave and Shannon, as I mentioned, getting an electrician's license in Massachusetts takes a lot of time and effort, and that's why a lot of people choose to go to occupational schools like Porter and Chester Institutes. But recently, I talked to some electrician students who told me something they learned about PCI has them pretty shocked. Tim Holcomb and Tom Mignatillo are about 7 months into the year-long electrician program here at Porter and Chester Institutes in Chicopee. But even as they get closer to their graduation in October, they say they're farther away than ever from getting the training they need.
We attend this school to obtain hours to become an electrician. And Porter and Chester, even though we are paying the $30,000, we're only receiving half of our education.
At issue is the way electricians are licensed in Massachusetts. The state mandates two things: 600 hours of classroom instruction and 8,000 hours of apprenticeship or on-the-job training, OJT. And while Porter and Chester has a state-approved classroom program, as of earlier this year, its OJT is not approved.
The state says, and Porter and Chester, that the on-the-job training is no longer in effect, meaning that all we are working hard for will not conclude into our hours to become an electrician.
From my understanding, they were contacted by the state back in February that there was a problem. They've done nothing.
While no one from Porter and Chester would go on camera, they did send this statement saying, in part, until recently, PCI understood students could apply part of their practical shop experience toward the 8,000 hours of on-the-job training required for state licensure. In fact, the PCI student catalog we pulled up online says, quote, part of the training hours you acquire at Porter and Chester qualify as OJT. Clearly, that is not the case now.
We want to get to the bottom of this. If there's an intentional misrepresentation, that will be dealt with accordingly. But the point that I want to make is that we are looking into the matter. We take an allegation of misrepresentation very seriously.
PCI maintains it immediately informs students of the problem, but for many who've already spent upwards of $30,000 in tuition, they say it's too little, too late.
So if you're here every day for every hour, it should have been 684 apprenticeship hours credited to us.
But now?
Now we get nothing for our money.
Well, once more, to be clear, the state does recognize Porter and Chester Institute's electrician program and recognizes the 600 hours of classroom time. But the state is still looking on the eligibility of the on-the-job training towards eligibility to get your state license and take the exam. Dave, Shannon?
Chris, thanks. The state's currently in the process of clarifying whether on-the-job training hours are counted toward a student eligibility to take the licensing exam. And Anthony says it will take a few more weeks to figure it all out.